secrets of Castle Grayskull. By the power of Grayskull!
Welcome back to Retro Wednesday, the Titanium Hangar. This is Mike, and today I want to talk to you about the vintage Castle Grayskull. And since this thing's probably already been reviewed 100 times, I'm going to take a bit of a different approach, and I'm going to talk about the variants. I'm going to talk about variant parts and pieces, reproduction cardboard, comparisons to original, and just kind of talking about this thing from a 2022 perspective. Now, the thing is that there's an Origins Castle out there that's great, but it's probably not the same charm that you get with this one. Also, this is something that if you're looking to complete a vintage, I'm going to show you some parts and pieces and points that you need to look for if you're trying to complete a vintage one. We're going to talk about this coming up. So here it is from the outside, and it does look pretty good. It's got that classic Grayskull, the Grayskull look, and this castle, it just sort of stands the test of time, and it still looks great. Now there's better iterations. I really think the Origins one looks better on the outside, and definitely the Classics one, but still there's something about this one. So looking at it, there's a couple of interesting features. First off, we do have a window up here, which you can actually put a figure up there and you can kind of see out. He-Man's in there sort of taking a look to see who's out there. Is Skeletor out there? Yeah, that's kind of what he's looking for. Also with it, it's got quite a bit of paint apps to it. So like even back in the day, multiple different colors of paint apps all over it, which is great. And of course you do have the gun up top, and talking about the variants of that. So this looks good. It looks great. It has the old opening clamshell kind of bit. And so my take as a kid was the whole reason it had an opening clamshell was so that it could look like it's a full building. And this is just, well, although it's the back, it could look like it's the side of the Castle Grayskull. So that was kind of a cool thing right there. And once you open it, of course, the inside is where all the fun's happening, but you close it up as kind of a carrying case. So it's kind of cool with the handle up there as a carrying case. Kind of basic stuff that most everybody knows, but still interesting to see. And of course, one of the main features is the drawbridge, where you can put either Skeletor or He-Man's sword in there to unlock it and open it. So there it goes. Hey, Skeletor, where are you going, man? You don't belong in there. Okay, so here's a comparison next to another legendary Motu playset, and of course that's Snake Mountain. Now I do have a lot of work to do with this Snake Mountain. I picked it up in a deal for like 17 bucks. So I was like, hey, round it up to 100, I'll take that shell. So it's basically a shell of a Snake Mountain. I got a couple parts for it, but I'm going to be completing all that and getting all that together. The thing is, though, I don't think that Mattel's going to make a modern version of Snake Mountain. I think that they did the Castle Grayskull, that's awesome, but I don't think the Snake Mountain would sell as well as Castle Grayskull did, and they kind of stopped at retail. So one thing about it is, as I'm picking up stuff, I got an idea. So as I started getting parts for Snake Mountain, I was like, you know what? This stuff would make great display for Indiana Jones. Although it's unrelated to this review, this is a work in progress on an Indiana Jones display. That bridge, yeah, and I really use these as sort of a mold, as an idea or an inspiration to make a bridge. So first off, I want to say that this playset originally was $24.99 in the catalogs from the Wish Book. So 1982 Wish Book had this at 25 bucks. 25 bucks is a really good price. Origins is 75. That's saying with inflation, I don't know. Do you get more or less with this? Well, you do get more weapons, but you get less actual plastic parts. So let's go ahead and get in and look at this. So looking at it from the inside is pretty much how most people would display it, to kind of show a scene of what's going on in there. Unless you're really tight for space, you just show the front and maybe put some figures in the front. So looking at the inside here, though, there is a lot to this. It's a clamshell design, it opens up, and you get several functions such as the elevator, the trap door, the opening front door, or the drawbridge kind of deal. So with that, it's a lot of fun stuff that's going on in here, but let's start with the elevator. So the elevator, of course, it breaks. It's easily broken. It kind of plugs in with two plastic pieces on a pole, and it slides up this flat pole looking piece here. You pull on the gargoyle, which is kind of a cool looking gargoyle. You pull on it to bring him up. Now, it's hanging up on his sword back there, but I picked Origins because he would stand, but I didn't really hang up. But anyway, so there's a couple of things people do. One of the things that people like to do is either cut this string so it'll stay in place, But one of the tricks that I found is once it's up here, you can just kind of wrap it around, and it'll hold it in place. Everything always works better when the camera is off. So looking at this, so now I wrapped it around there, it holds in place, you can hold a figure and all that kind of stuff. So moving over to the next, we do have a cardboard piece here. Now that is a reproduction cardboard piece, but it is sort of supposed to be a computer console, which is kind of interesting. And the cardboard stuff, it's kind of hard to find the cardboard stuff in good condition. So some of mine's original and some of it is reproduction. Okay, moving over right here, a figure could theoretically walk across this. I mean, that's kind of an idea there that could happen. But one thing about playsets is how do characters get around the playset? This ladder's here so you can put it wherever you want. He can get up there, or he can climb up to one of these, or whatever. So it could sort of make sense. I guess the ladder would work. If you had a few ladders, you can put it in different places and all that kind of stuff. Or your figure can literally just walk across there because it's not exactly the same. Now, of course, one of these is lower than the other because of the fact that it does close up. And it's a simple, interesting design, which is actually utilized in a couple of other playsets like the Power Lords. They do that with the Vulcan Rock playset and some others out there. So over here on this side, we do have this drawbridge which opens, and we kind of showed that when we showed the outside of it. And it does have this sticker. So this sticker is kind of one of the big deals. Now, this one is an original sticker, and reproduction stickers, fine. For me, I don't care. Reproduction, original, fine. It's great. If I get an original, that's fine, but reproduction is fine also. That's kind of interesting. Now, if you want to kind of travel up, you would kind of find your way up here to where Skeletor. Now, Skeletor's retired, and now he's living his dream because he wanted Castle Grayskull. He's got it, so be careful what you ask for, right? But let's see what happens on this trap door. We're going to go ahead and show the trap door function with an Origins figure. Okay, that didn't work. He's too heavy. Oh, man. Hold on. All right, so we're going to go ahead and use Orko because he's a little lighter so you can see the actual function, and boom, he falls. So one of the things to watch out for is there's a little tab on the green piece on the inside. The tab is still in there so that it will hold the door into place, and so that is kind of an issue. As time goes by, the tabs break, or they get a little bit looser. Okay, looser or more loose. Okay, so moving on up just a little bit, we do have something up here. We have the gunner station, and we have flags, and we have these little pieces right here. Now, first off, I'm going to start by comparing these flags, and I'm going to show the difference between the two flags. So one is an original flag on the left and reproduction. So I did get reproduction parts or this stuff from someone in the UK on the Etsy store, so you can find them pretty easy. And they're pretty cheap, actually. There's also the tapestries. Now this is a reproduction tapestry kind of piece, but anyway, that comes with a little kit that I bought. But one thing is that this is different. There's two different versions of this. You have this with flat, smooth, and you have this one over here that's kind of notched out to hold in. Now my understanding is this is the first one, and they kept breaking, so they just went flat smooth. But it seems like these always look older and more beat up than these. Anyway, there's the two different options, and it just depends on which castle you get, or if you're like me, you can get both. Staying up top here, I'm not going to talk too much about it, but you do have the point dread. Now, this piece clips on to the top of the castle. I'm not removing it because you can break these little pieces that clip it on, so I'm lucky they're not broken. But anyhow, there's that, or there's an alternate lower base to it, but this deserves its own review all on its own with the Talon Fighter and the point dread. Getting into a couple more variations, and then we're going to talk a little bit more about some variations in cardboard and all that kind of stuff. We do have two different versions of the gun, and for whatever reason, it's the same actual gun, it's just the stand. And so one is open at the top, and one is completely closed. Maybe it's cheaper to manufacture it and assemble it like this than it is to manufacture it and assemble it like that. Or maybe people are just having trouble. Maybe they got feedback or something. Maybe people wrote letters of feedback in 1982 and 1983. But anyhow, there's two different versions out there. I don't think one's any more rare than the other. Before we get into talking more about cardboard stuff, I do want to talk about the variations on this. So there are different color versions of these weapons, and I don't know if every one of these weapons is out there, but I know I've seen the silver gray axe. I do have a silver sword and a silver shield. I think these came in a weapons pack, but some of these same weapons are actually packed in different colors with the figures, which I have no problem with. You know, reuse of the same mold, and it's a lot of fun in the world, and you just get extra weapons and stuff. So that's kind of cool too. And these weapons are relatively easy to get, except for one. But one is so hard to get. It's expensive. People want stupid money for it. It's a small little pistol. I don't have that, and unless I find it for a good price, I don't need it. I don't need it. I might get a KO or something down the road, but this is my display, and I'll show you what it looks like, but I just really don't care about the pistol. Okay, aside from the stupid little pistol, it comes with this mace-looking piece, a laser gun, a little hand axe, a sword. You've got an opened and a closed different long axe, which I'm sure there's specific names. The spear, the shield, and then where you're gonna put your stupid pistol. Next up, we have the little weapon trainer piece here, and so what you're supposed to do is use the spring gimmick in your figures, and this is really just trying to figure out a use for including a spring gimmick. And you want to punch the pig head. Okay, I don't find that much fun. So getting more into the cardboard here. Now this is another weapons rack, as you can see, and it shows just pictures of weapons and pictures of weapons that are included, except we don't have the long pistol, just the short pistol. That's not very smart. Okay, now the one on the right is the original, and the one on the left is reproduction. You can see reproductions have slightly different colors to it, and maybe they had running changes as they went, but they kind of got a brown looking like it's the inside of your vintage Star Wars box. And this is kind of a tan color. So anyway, brown and gray. So there's a difference on that one. You can kind of see the details. It's all very, very similar, just not exactly the same. And I really don't care. It's pretty cool to have some sort of decoration. They do add some color and variety to your set. Now the original on this versus, let's get it all in frame here. And this one's missing his antenna. But you have like the gun next to him. It's a robot. And of course, they did make this robot in the Origins line for the exclusive that was almost impossible to get. It was easy to get for like 3 minutes. And then after that, impossible. So anyhow, that's what they look like side by side. And whoever made these did a really good job. They look phenomenal. Colors are a little bit off, a little bit different. But it doesn't really bother me because I like it looking so good. So that's why I display. And what do you want to display? Some classics or Masterverse? I think they scale well together, classics and Masterverse. You can tell this is too small for the classics, but it's still doable. And I bet you the Origins is the same way. You can still get away with putting these on this playset or putting it as a display just for a small display of maybe a dozen figures or so. It could still look pretty good. It could still work out. You know, you could put smaller characters up top there or whatever. You could still make it work one way, shape, or form. It wouldn't look that bad. So this is my quick look at the vintage 1982 Castle Grayskull from Mattel. And it still holds up. It is one of the most iconic playsets around. It has some action features with the trap door, the elevator. You have a few more things with the drawbridge in the front. You also have interactivity with Point Dread and the Talon Fighter and all that kind of stuff. I showed some reproduction cardboard and the differences between the reproductions and the originals that I did have. And also showing the variations of parts. It works for pretty much every scale, but it works best for Origins and Vintage. And if you're on the Origins, you might still get the Origins castle instead of this, but there's some charm to the original from back in the day. As you can see, it still displays well. What, 40 years later? Anyway, let me know what you think about the Castle Grayskull. Do you have one of these? Did you have the Origins? Did you get the Classics massive one? And do you think they'll ever make a Snake Mountain in Origins? Probably not. Let me know. Like, subscribe. Dear Banger out.
Together we defend Castle Grayskull from the evil forces of Skeletor. And I became He-Man, the most powerful man in the universe.